But it's still
your
really
pact.
limited summoning.
Yeah.
That's for level 20. That's a level 20 character.
You can
That's
do it.
that's morphing into a challenge rating 3 beast with a challenge rating 1/4 companion that has a few boosts to some stats, and then could cast summon animals or whatever the specific name is. I know it's not that, as a level 5 spell. And you're level 20. Okay, yeah, let's go take on Tiamat. And I'm ready to go.
Well, she's probably like least likely to attack you. She's like, what's that doing there? How'd these get in
Did
there?
this little one go lost?
Oh, okay.
No, they're 20, believe it or not.
Oh, they really did go all the way to 20 like that. Yeah, this might be the worst I think you can do.
Welcome to Monsters and Multiclass, your weekly Dungeons and Dragons picks. I'm Kevin Odie.
I'm Jared Bornagle.
And I'm Will Melton.
And we'll be hanging out with you for the next hour to talk about anything and everything D&D related. This week is the Druid Ranger Multiclass, and then later on the Amnizu from Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. So pull up a chair and listen up.
So, first things first. I think we've been mispronouncing Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. Once again, started off with Tomb of Foes, but now you corrected it this time. It should be Mordenkainen. So I don't think anyone pronounces that right.
No, yeah, we've always done Mordenkainen's.
Yeah.
We missed that
there was
half the time.
Yeah, Mike Marrow said something on Twitter. Yeah, Mordenkainen's.
Yeah. So thanks.
Very important.
Thanks, Mike. That's the sage advice we really need. It's just pronunciation guides. It's actually one of my favorite things about D&D Beyond was the fact that it adds pronunciation on everything. But it doesn't matter.
Just for monsters.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to anyone until you start doing a podcast with monster names, because then you
you don't want to look like an idiot. You want to get it all right.
Yeah, we've got enough reasons to look dumb.
It's going to be my joke.
Oof.
All right, so this week our multiclass is the Druid Ranger. A Druid is a full caster that can wild shape, being its main class feature, which lets it turn into animals of different power levels, or challenge ratings as they call them in D&D. Then we have the Ranger, which is usually the wilderness scout of sorts, a half caster. Both of their... the two things that we need for multiclassing are wisdom and dexterity at 13, and we'll start there. Will, any first thoughts on these?
Flavor-wise, I think there is definitely an overlap, a pretty obvious one. I can see druids and rangers hanging out quite a bit.
They're best buds.
One thing that probably, I don't know the mechanics, how that's going to overlap, but you've got two classes that do have a secondary stat block behind them in a way, with the druid turning into other animals and the Beastmaster ranger having an animal himself.
Right.
So that could be either interesting or overly complex, depending on how you look at it.
That's fair. It'll be interesting to explore. Kevin?
Yeah, I think this one kind of fits in a weird spot. I always sort of see the ranger as a multi-class between a fighter and a druid. And it's just kind of the official way to, like, the class that officially does that.
Mm-hmm.
So then you take the multi-class this between a fighter and a druid and multi-class it into druid.
So you're like 3/4 druid.
Yeah, kind of. But I guess flavor-wise, there's no reason it couldn't work. You don't really need to bend over backwards to come up with some crazy backstory of why this multi-class exists. It's a ranger that focuses more on the nature stuff and is a little more magical, I guess.
Yeah, one of the biggest issues we found with multiclassing with a ranger is that you're introducing a bunch of spells that now are going to use... One, it's not a main focus of the class because it is a half caster, and on top of that, it's going to use the spellcasting ability of wisdom. Luckily with druid, that actually uses wisdom as well for the spellcasting modifier. So 2 whiz casters is actually a pretty good start spell-wise. I think one of the biggest... awkward parts of this is going to be the fact that rangers are usually a bit more melee focused and druids not so much.
Well, melee or ranged, non-spell focused.
Ranger, yeah, you're totally right. You're right.
I mean,
I'll
range
say
is in their
they're
name.
Martial focused.
There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So that's going to be potentially a little bit awkward. Druids, again, they're full spellcasters, so you're really expecting to cast a spell or a cantrip on basically every turn. Rangers, half casters, it's in the name. They're going to cast spells half the time.
That's the exact math for the
Yes.
record.
Yeah.
Or the Druid uses Wild Shape. I think just the best play of this is Circle the Moon Druid, which allows you to more combat focused Wild Shapes. You can do higher challenge ratings and stuff like that. And as far as I could tell, pretty much any kind of class ability you get from the Ranger should work well Wild Shaped.
The only one that doesn't is right off the bat, Rangers do get a fighting style. None of them work with Druid and Wild Shape. A lot of the Ranger's abilities, though, specify making a melee weapon attack. And I did look into this beforehand because it's extremely important. The animals or whatever animal you're using, its natural attack is considered a melee weapon attack. So all of that goes over just fine.
Yeah, we ran into that with Druid Barbarian as well, if you remember. Because
Correct.
to be able to rage, I think, or maybe it was Smite, Druid Paladin.
That sounds right.
I think this is maybe the 5th time we ran into this, to be honest. But
yeah,
to smite with the melee weapon attacks, you could smite as a bear as a Druid Paladin.
Mm-hmm.
Eagle Smite, so that was the big one. Crash into something as an eagle and smite.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Such a great visual.
So yeah, like the Ranger, like the Hunter Ranger with all of their cool abilities, like Colossus Slayer, where they can add 1d8 if something's not at max health, or hit multiple things around them, or later on, like they get the Whirlwind ability, where they can use it and they can make one attack against anything within 5 feet.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool, like a whirlwinding Earth Elemental, or a bear or whatever. All of that should work.
Yeah, Elemental might be tough because when do you get Whirlwind?
Oh.
'Cause I think that's a later one.
Yeah, okay. Specifically a whirlwinding 11th.
Okay, so you can't do that.
You can't because then you get elemental.
Elemental's
Shifting
that-
an element. Yeah, Druids get the ability to use up both of their wild shapes to turn into an elemental, which is a really cool ability, but it's at level 10, so it's pretty late.
Mm-hmm.
And then the whirlwind we were talking about. But even still, or like Gloomstalker, like their Dread Ambush, where they get extra damage on their first attack and stuff like that, or their Umbral Sight, where they're invisible to something that's relying on dark vision to see them. That will work in Wild Shape.
Right. An Underdark focused Druid, though, feels a little bit weird. I don't know if it's wrong at all, but isn't
There's a whole subclass for it.
Really? Which one?
It's
Are you talking
we
about
don't
Mushroom
have
Druid?
the book. Yeah, the Mushroom Druid. I can't remember the name.
That's
name
the one
of
that just recently came out in Ravnica, correct?
Yeah.
It's also not
Guildmaster.
technically Underdark focus
No.
because it's a different universe, but it's
Right.
the same damn place, to be honest.
Right.
Okay. I mean, that's fine, but we're talking about all the other ones because not currently including that one.
There's nature underground, man.
There is.
Again, it's very natural. You'd say it's more of a natural world than forests and.
He's getting hung up on the trees thing. It's like,
Yeah.
there's no trees around me. There must be no nature.
There's big old mushroom trees.
Yeah, you could-
No, you're just limiting maybe not limiting, but you are not going to probably have seen as many animals in the Underdark.
That's another mechanic that I think
That's
almost
true.
everybody ignores to an extent.
Oh, I don't. That's an important one.
Have you ever seen this animal? It's like, I don't know, probably.
Well, it always comes up because every time I've got a druid at the table, they're always like, "Can I turn into a velociraptor?" And I'm like, "Have you seen a velociraptor?" And they're like, no. All right. Where were you born? The forest. You can turn into a wolf, and you can shut up.
I'd let somebody write into the backstory, depending on what level it comes. Oh,
At first level, though,
as long as it meets the challenge rating requirements. I mean, obviously, don't break that. There's
a
what you could-
velociraptor is really specific.
But if that's what they want, if they want a druid that's turning into dinosaurs, they grew up on that dinosaur island. And
My
came
dad
here
was
to,
a velociraptor rancher.
Sure, yeah.
No, that's totally fine. If it is a specific focus of your backstory, then yeah, sure, I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
But if you want to say I was raised by wolves and also I love turning into dinosaurs,
Okay, that's fine.
it's a stretch.
Right.
Me and the wolves frequently warred with dinosaurs. Damn.
It's a pack tactics thing. We just all just sync up.
Right. Actually, an interesting way to play it. So, yeah, you grew up on this isolated dinosaur island, and then you came to the Sword Coast or wherever this thing takes place for whatever reason you want.
Right.
But all you've seen are dinosaurs. Those are the only beasts you could turn into is dinosaurs. So there's all the utility around druids, and their wild shape would turn into like a rat or a wolf or whatever, and kind of blend in. It's like, They're not going to be able to do that until specifically it is called out in the campaign that they've ran into these beasts.
I would love it because they'd be like, hey, can you turn into a rat? And they're just like, a what?
And then you have to do a little mini side quest. All right, let's go down in the sewers, find some rats. That's a rat. Oh, okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Rat.
Yeah. What's this fur around it? Gross. Okay, so Circle of the Moon definitely sounds like a pretty good winner for this. Now, are you thinking that there's any major milestones you want to hit level-wise? Because I feel like Ranger, we've talked about before, doesn't even do really well at higher levels. Not that it does well, it's just not the best high-level character.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of worthless stuff up there. Whereas Druids scale pretty consistently. One, they're, full casters. Two, they just get a lot of good stuff. Their level 20 ability is amazing, but that's neither here nor there, where they can just wild shape as many times as they want per day.
There's no
right?
limit. It's 2 all the way. They can do it twice a day, all the way up to a level 20, where it's just unlimited.
Oh, how nice.
It's a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
This is actually probably, I think, the biggest detriment to this multi-class. Where I was saying probably the best play is going Circle the Moon and using Wild Shape. What you could change into scales specifically off Druid level. So if you Circle of the Moon, up until level 6, I think you could challenge rating 1 creature.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you're level 6, it's a third of your Druid level. So divide your Druid level by 3 rounded down. And then that's the maximum challenge rating you could turn into. So level 20, a challenge rating 6 is the highest you'll get. So if you're going up there in the higher level campaigns and you've multi-classed into a ranger to get some of their abilities and flavor and whatever it is you're looking for, you're going to really limit and fall behind on what you could shift into
Right.
as a druid.
Yeah, and that's, I think, it can be done very well with the druid specifically, because they get their subclass, the circle of whatever, at level 2.
Mm-hmm.
So a small dip into druid could actually benefit rangers, I feel like, if you don't go Circle of the Moon. If you treat the wild shape as something that's more flavorful than
Or
useful,
out of combat utility.
exactly, then it can be really, really good. And we've talked about that before, where druids are really great for that. I said a druid in one of my campaigns right now, and they needed to scout out a mansion, and he's like, I turned into a cat. And then he went into the place and scoped it out. And it's like, perfect. That is a great way to use a druid. It's not always going to be combat focused. And most likely, if you're not Circle of the Moon, it shouldn't be combat focused. It might be a last ditch effort because it gives you a bunch of temp HP and whatever. But overall, you're not going to be doing too much, and it's an entire action to turn into that thing, compared to Circle of the Moon, where you can do it as a bonus action.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a small dip into Druid could make Ranger feel very flavorful. I don't know what would spark a Ranger to be able to just start turning into animals. I know this sounds weird.
Because he wants to.
Right, but what gives a Druid their powers? They get it from their attunement with nature. It talks about being in a druid circle, which is a very specific upbringing a lot of times. So that one can feel a little bit iffy to me, unless it's you just went to go live with druids for a while, and that is kind of a reductionist thought. But just at some point you studied with druids to gain that additional power, and then it's great because you can get some stuff like Circle of the Shepherd, which is in Xanathar's Guide. One of those subclasses. And I really like that one. It has the spirit circles. You can choose between bear, hawk, and unicorn. And none of them really scale with the initial thing they give. At level 18, giving everybody 7 temp HP isn't too amazing, but you still get advantage on strength saving throws and strength ability checks. And I think stuff like that is just useful. It's a bonus action to do. You're still doing, if you've got 4 people in your party, 28 healing as a bonus action. Healing, I say in air quotes. So that could be a good dip. So
you don't have to just pick. It's just you can summon what you want.
Oh
Yes.
yeah. Every time you summon.
Which is I hate when they make you pick on the level what one you get. Like Ranger does that,
Yeah.
and Barbarian Totems do that.
Yep.
I really like having the ability to switch that out.
Yeah, definitely. And they're all really useful. Well, at least the bear and the unicorn one. So bear, as I said, gives you temp HP, advantage on strength saving throws, and strength checks. The unicorn one is situationally useful, where it lets you see any invisible creatures. So if you're in a situation where that comes up, it's like, I think you have advantage on checks to see invisible creatures. So that's extremely useful. And any healing you do gets an additional +2 for your druid level. Or sorry, +1 for your druid level. So over there it would only be +2. Not extremely good. But again, the option being there per short or long rest, not bad.
Mm-hmm.
I do like the idea of what you were talking about, Will, the Beastmaster and Circle of the Moon combo. It might be a little bit technically exhausting and maybe not the most mechanically amazing, but just the idea of both of you and your beast companion being the same animal.
It's got great flavor, right?
It's got great flavor.
It's got great flavor, but I think it falls off really quick because the beast companion has to be a challenge rating 1/4 or less. And then it gets stronger by the beast companions like stat blocks and how that subclass works. But if it's brown bear, it's still just a brown bear. So if you want to match it, you're just wild shaping. You could be level 5, wild shaping into a 1/4 challenge rating creature. I don't see that being that useful in combat.
That's totally fair.
Level 20, still pulling that off, and everyone in your party is frustrated. Like, dude, you have so much more. But I want to be a bear and hang out with my bear.
Yeah, no, that's fair, and I think that's definitely a limitation of the Beastmaster. You could kind of change it up flavor wise. I can't remember if brown bear is higher challenge rating than black bear, correct?
Probably.
I think those are challenge rating 1 brown bears.
I don't know off the top of my head.
So it doesn't matter. One of the bears is stronger than the other ones. You could always just like reflavor it and say, okay, I'm still a brown bear, or like I'm still a wolf instead of a dire wolf, but I want to use those stats. I don't think that one's too big of a stretch, but I still agree. You're right. It falls off.
Yeah, because I know this is really important to get just specifically right. A brown bear's challenge rating 1. A black bear's challenge rating 1/2. Oof. You couldn't even do that.
Okay.
All right, but
and then there's a polar bear, which I think is even higher.
Right. So you've got 3 levels there that you can just reflavor.
Yeah, challenge rating 2. So actually, it sounds like you can't have a bear as a beast as a ranger companion.
Oh, that's right. You said
isn't it challenge rating 1/4? I'm pretty sure
it's 1/4. I don't know.
Yeah, it's super limited.
Are they large bears? Because that's also another limitation.
Wait, really?
You'd have to have a tiny medium bear. But if you had a medium bear, I would go ahead and give you that half challenge.
Just for flavor wise, give it like the stats of a wolf, but
it's
a little
plus a few
little
others.
black bear.
Mm-hmm. And regardless, it can be a wolf.
You
there
could
are
also
wolves.
do the
you don't
wolf-
have to do a
wolf
bear
combo.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone just seems to love bears.
Well,
Being a bear.
Who wouldn't love bears, man? They're so big and cuddly.
They're adorable, man.
This totally
They
does
are.
remind me, and I'm going to call it out because I'm sure there's other people who know of this. There's totally a character in Naruto that does this, that turns into a dog and has a dog companion. And I had to look up the name because I remembered it from my youth. Kiba. Yeah. So I'm sure there's like 1 or 2 people who are like, I really want to play Kiba. This is the way to do it. It's not going to be great, but you can both be wolves and it'll be really cool.
Not big on the anime, bud.
I'm not big on Naruto anymore. I'll say that.
But last year, let me tell you.
No.
Yeah, I was thinking more Animorphs.
Animorphs is,
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the Druid in general, ain't it?
They have to touch, right? If I remember correctly,
Yes.
Yes.
There's going to be someone out there who's going to be really mad because we're butchering this.
This
It's
is
been
this
long,
is
but-
actually a fandom we don't want to fuck with. The Animorphs people get pretty weird about it.
I'm pretty sure they have to touch whatever animal they're turning
They
into.
do.
I could picture
They don't
somebody
have to-
turning into like
just
their
the
golden
first time.
retriever dog.
Just the first time.
Yeah.
Once they touched it, then they like absorbed its essence or whatever. What were the little earworms called in Animorphs? Does anyone remember?
I'm not an Animorphs guy, man. Stop bringing
I
it
know
up.
what you're talking about.
Yeah.
They were the main enemy in it.
That's okay.
Yeah. And then the weird blue aliens fighting them.
Mm-hmm. With the
6 legs.
didn't have mouths, 6 legs, and an axe for a tail. It's crazy.
What a series.
Let's just like paste that into D&D. That sounds pretty useful.
I honestly think the only reason that book series got so popular is because in the bottom right it had the little flip book of them transforming.
Oh, yeah.
And every kid thought that was the coolest thing. They're like, "Oh my god!" And it's like that. Sure, yeah, let's buy 20 of these.
Yeah.
It's the only reason I still have them. Sometimes I just get sad and I just flip book through the Animorph series.
Jesus, man.
I don't do that. All right.
Yeah, but yeah, that I really like the flavor of that, but mechanically, it is probably the worst way you could go about being any kind of Druid Ranger.
Yeah, but at Beastmaster level 11, they get their second attack action, which at challenge rating 1/4, they're almost always not going to get that. They don't scale well, as we've discussed.
Yeah.
You're chasing after level 11 to get a second attack on your already gimped bear, fake bear.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It is not going to be something you do because it is really good mechanically.
This is
I love the
probably
flavor, though. I
the
do.
best example of a class where you can almost completely destroy your own utility.
Just like by stepping on yourself or what? Or just
Like
taking bad moves?
If you combine like a level 11 ranger with a level 9 druid, you really are coming out to about a level 12 character with extra HP.
Nice.
Like, yeah, if you want Circle the Moon, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got level 4 spells.
Your core abilities
No, 9 you get 5th.
do not scale past that.
Mm-hmm.
And these do not help you. You're basically a level 12.
Yeah, you can
With
only
20 levels.
You could turn into a challenge rating 3 beast.
But the action
Twice a
economy
day.
is super in your favor.
No,
and you got to use summoning too. So you just have an army of wolves.
But it's still
your
really
pact.
limited summoning.
Yeah.
That's for level 20. That's a level 20 character.
You can
That's
do
that's morphing into a challenge rating 3 beast with a challenge rating 1/4 companion that has a few boosts to some stats and then could cast summon animals or whatever the specific name is. I know it's not that as a level 5 spell. And you're level 20. Okay, yeah, let's go take on Tiamat. And I'm ready to go.
Well, she's probably like least likely to attack you. She's like, what's that doing there? How'd these get in
Did
here?
this little one go lost?
Oh, okay.
No, they're 20, believe it or not.
Oh, they really did go all the way to 20 like that. Yeah, this might be the worst I think you can do.
Yeah.
So, actually, I know initially I said Circle the Moon's probably the play here. It's actually, even if you don't go Beastmaster, if you go Hunter or something else, just because the Circle of the Moon relies so heavily on the challenge rating scaling with you as a character level, and it's on Druid level, you would just stop.
Yeah.
And Druids have the exact opposite problem of the Ranger. Giving up your top level Druid stuff is a big, big loss.
It is
awful. As we said, it's probably one of the best level 20
I would give it
abilities.
the best if you're Circle of the Moon, especially.
Yeah.
and even their 18 one too.
What's that one?
They could cast spells well shaped.
Oh my god.
That's huge too. And the other flavor one, which I kind of like, is the Timeless Body.
That's at 18 as well, right?
Yeah, 18, just like you get so much cool
Yeah.
stuff.
Now, in the spells one is they could do somatic and verbal while wild shaped. They still can't use material components, but
That's not a huge deal with
No.
Druid spells, especially.
That doesn't surprise me.
But yeah, like losing that is really tough. Losing everything after 14 as a Ranger is like whatever.
Well, we've talked before, doing a small dip into Ranger is usually not too great.
no.
And especially when that fighting style just doesn't work for you. Say that every single one of them talks about using I don't want to grab it right now, but they just don't work. You can't use your armor defense because your armor becomes a part of you, and you now take the AC of the animal, so that throws out that one. That's usually a really easy one to grab. Then there is... What
And
else?
there's 2 weapon fighting. There's archery.
Right.
Well, yeah, you're not using any of those well shaped.
Dueling when you're wielding a melee weapon in one hand and no other weapons. You either consider both your paws weapons or you don't. So
Right.
in that case, nope.
Yeah, it says wielding
Right.
melee weapon.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wouldn't count that.
It's pretty clear what it means.
Yeah.
Just, if you're going for that stretch.
Yeah, as like a bear or a wolf or whatever, you don't have like an offhand attack. That's just not how the animals are designed.
Right.
Right.
You
So-
use your back legs.
Yeah, no, you lose. That's like a core Ranger thing. It's one of the best reasons to dip them, and you lose them if you're doing the transform thing.
Right. And it's spell casting for Rangers is just nothing that's particularly great. I don't think there's many Ranger spells that you're going to get that a Druid can't get as well.
Yeah, there's a couple. Zephyr Strike, I think, is Ranger only. It's a level 1 spell. You can move without provoking opportunity attacks, and one of those attacks you can like double your speed and do extra damage.
Yeah.
So half the
something like
Ranger
that.
spell list is just Ranger only spells, and the other
Right.
half is Druid spells.
Right.
Yeah, I was looking through. Yeah, like Druid spells. It's pretty much it's very rare for a druid only spell. Most of them are druid or ranger. The only one I found was Moonbeam. I know, I'm sure there's more.
I think reincarnation's druid only, which we learned in
Oh, yeah.
your campaign.
Yeah. Yeah, reincarnate.
The world's most useful spell.
It's a fun one.
It's a fun
It's
one.
flavorful. Yes, that's where it's a resurrect, which it's I don't remember the level. But it's
I think it's, I want to say 7th, but I actually don't remember.
I don't think it's that high.
5th? I don't know. I'm just going to throw
Because
out numbers.
it has a lot less constraints of the normal resurrections. You just need like a piece of whoever you're trying to resurrect. You don't need their entirely intact corpse, and they could be dead for a decent amount of time. But when they come back, you roll on a table, and their race is randomized. A new body is created for them, and they're reincarnated into that body. They retain all their memories and their classes and their stats, but all the racial stuff switches out, and that's their life now.
Yep, we turned our Quaggoth friend into a halfling.
Yes.
It is 5th level.
Okay.
It's an interesting spell.
It's interesting. I mean, I don't particularly want it over any other type of bring them back to life magic.
So what do we really have? Like, there's a couple more. We do have Circle of Dreams.
So I think a Circle of Dreams Ranger would be a really good survivalist. If you're in an exploration heavy campaign. So they got Balm of the Summer Court, where basically they get an extra set of hit die that they could use to heal someone else.
Okay. That's
So, I
only
mean,
per
that's-
long rest. But still, that's
But
a lot. That
yeah.
scales really well. Each level you get another D6.
and you, unless I misread it, you don't have to use them all at once. You can-
Correct. And it's a bonus action to use them. So that's a lot of healing you're pulling up.
Yeah. Right.
Wow, that's a ton after a while.
Yeah. And then Hearth of Moonlight and Shadow, when you could kind of set it's sort of like a Lemon's tiny hut, or however you say that. You could set an area where it's no light or anything travels out of it while you're in it. You get bonuses to stealth and perception. So it helps you sleep in the wilderness.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Free Lehman's tiny hut.
Yeah. So those are kind of, I guess, the two survivalist stuff. And then their later stuff's decent. Like Hidden Path, a teleport for a ranger is pretty decent.
Right.
Yeah.
But, again, if we're talking ranger at all with this, if you're going up that high, you're most likely going to keep your ranger levels pretty low.
Right.
Say maybe 3rd or 4th level. Rangers do get a second attack at 5th. So that'd be pretty useful to go like 5 in ranger and then maybe 15 in druid. I don't know if there's any specific tick that happens at 15 for druid. I know 14 is usually their other circle feature.
Right.
So let's see, 15 on a druid. We've got, what do we got? 8th level spells. That's a pretty good stopping point.
Yeah.
8th level spell and then multi-attack. Yeah, that's not bad. Say, I do like Circle of the Dreams. I think overall that's probably a good combination then. It's just 5 in ranger, 15 in druid. And as long as you're not doing Circle of the Moon, you're not really focused on wild shaping anyways.
Right. Circle of the Land, though, that's probably your best bet. If you want to be a ranger and have more of an emphasis on spell casting, Circle of Land's the way to go. Right away, you get a bonus cantrip, and then you get a Nature Recovery, which is a lot like the Wizard's Arcane Recovery on pretty sure it's a short rest. You could get
some spell slots back.
Yeah, slots back, yeah. And then you get circle spells. So you pick a terrain, and then every time you hit this leveling mark, you get a few spells just automatically known.
Right. And those almost pair too well with a ranger's favored terrain.
Right.
It's
it's perfect. Yeah.
Obvious choice.
Yeah. And I would like to point out one of these is Underdark. You were saying, I don't know if Druids would be in the Underdark. That's one of the land options.
I don't sound like that.
Yeah,
That's exactly what you said.
I don't know. Druid
I'm Jared. That's just what I talk like.
God, I'm an asshole.
Such dicks.
But yeah, they get a lot of really good spells from that, depending on whatever you pick. But it's just more stuff to not have to prepare, right?
Yeah, is it always prepared? Actually, I don't remember.
I believe that's the point of it.
Some of these aren't even
Yeah.
spells you
Yeah.
normally get access.
Yeah, you always have a prepare, and it doesn't count against the number of spells you prepare each day.
Right. Like, I don't think that druids normally get Misty Step. I'm checking that right now because that one's interesting.
Misty Step.
But you can get that for the coast one, which is pretty specific.
Nope.
Yeah, they don't normally.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard somebody want to pick a coastal druid.
Where would you want to be a druid? Ignoring the spell list. That's
Definitely not
important.
the Underdark.
Not the Underdark. Underdark sucks.
Yeah.
The
I don't
coast
know.
is beautiful.
The coast
It
is
is.
beautiful. That's fair.
And also, I mean, it's basically the ocean too. It's like because
No.
the ocean is not an option,
Correct.
so coast sort of covers both.
Right. I have no idea what I'd be. Probably a swamp druid. That sounds cool.
I
That's
like
the other worst
swamp.
pick.
What do you mean?
Why swamp druid?
Why
Like,
not?
come
a-
on, mountains.
What?
Who doesn't love a mountain?
I hate mountains. I love swamps. They're the perfect temperature all year round.
Swamps.
There's
They're actually
a
pretty
lot of bug
uncomfortable.
friends. We're
Oh, yeah.
up on the mountains. Those bugs can't even breathe.
As
I
a
guess.
druid, you probably magically could prevent mosquitoes.
Oh, for sure.
So, like, the swamp would be way comfier.
Yeah. If I was a druid in the swamp, I would have a mosquito hut to ward off intruders, so that like people would have to just pass through my wall of mosquitoes.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'd be cool. I think. I don't think. Oh, they totally do. Insect plague. They get it at 9th level for the swamp. I love insect plague. There's also one, and I don't remember what it is, but I think it's a warlock spell where you just cover yourself in bugs. And I can't remember what spell that is.
No, that's an Eldritch Invocation.
Is it? Oh, it's
Yeah,
so
you
creepy.
create like a horrifying shell of flies around you.
Okay, I'm gonna make a character specifically around that when we do
Just
warlock
to get
druid.
that one like 5th level invocation.
Yeah.
And then there's the star spawn. Those monsters are.
Those
There was the larval mage.
Oh,
He's made of larva, man.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
made out of bugs.
Yeah, it's a different type of creepy.
Yeah,
He, she. I don't think it's either, to
yeah,
be honest.
Yeah,
It's like a collective
It's a-
mass
yeah,
of
it-
space worms.
yeah. I don't think that's gendered.
Probably not.
No.
Or not at least ones we'd understand.
That's the point of them, man. They're just confusing.
Yeah, they're aliens.
Aliens.
And some of them are masses of bugs. I don't think they're all masses of bugs, right? It's just the larval
No,
mage.
that was actually the most disappointing thing. We did that really early on, and they were so cool, but there was only like 1 or 2 pieces of artwork for the like 4 characters.
Right.
And I really wanted to see what the other ones looked like, but it was just like a vague description.
Yeah. It was the larval mage was a mass of bugs in a vaguely humanoid form with a mask on. Then the other ones, there wasn't really much of a description. I did not get the impression they were masses of bugs, though.
No, maybe in like 10 years, Wizards of the Coast will really start running out of ideas for campaigns. And they'll be like, here's one based around the star spawn. It's,
Then
we'll get some
credit
more art.
us for it.
We were listening to some podcast from years ago.
Yeah.
That sounded really cool.
We
Forgot
we
made
talked about
those.
doing a whole campaign
We
around
did,
it,
we
where
did,
the Star
we did.
Spawn invasion and the ethical dilemmas of how the different factions want to deal with it.
You are totally right, which totally
But, yeah.
fits the Wizards of the Coast style campaigns.
Yeah.
They always love bringing up factions. But I just don't think anyone from Wizards of the Coast is going to listen to our podcast. Sadly.
We can dream.
We can dream.
Yeah, I think that was one of the first ones we did.
One or
Yeah.
two.
Yeah. That was a good one.
Yeah, it was. So, yeah, flavor-wise, this one's easy. I keep coming back to that. I feel like you're not going to get into any particular subclass that doesn't work, besides maybe Horizon Walker. But I don't know if that doesn't work or as much as just Horizon Walker's a little odd as a subclass. Because it's mostly about protecting things from other planes.
Planar travel,
Yeah,
yeah.
planar travel, which is like, that doesn't really make me think Druid.
Because protecting the material plane's natural world
Is
from
that
infringement of
specifically-
other.
Is that specifically under threat from that particular planar traveler? Like, that would be a very esoteric threat. I think there's a lot more natural threats out there. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying it's not the best fit.
They work to preserve life and the order of the planes. So it's not the material plane, it's just the plane of elemental water should just keep being elemental water. Don't bring your leviathans into my
Yeah.
house.
That kind of sounds druidy to me. That fits balance and
It's
all
just,
that. Yeah.
not a great subclass.
It's all right.
Detect
okay.
portal. Woo woo.
That's really the only really bad one.
It's also, you get 2 things at level 3. Because
Yeah,
that is a
yeah. 'Cause,
blatant
I mean, it's
ribbon.
that ribbon ability, and then here's a real ability.
I can't get over it though. Detect portal. If anyone's not familiar with the Horizon Walker, you can detect portals within a mile of you. And once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you
That
finish a
part
short or
bugs me.
long rest.
That really actually bugs me. It's like, how many times? I need this 5 times a day. If you need that, you should just give it to him, man.
Right. I
Your
totally
campaign
agree.
is like portal based. Come on.
You're like, oh man, my entire plan was ruined because the ranger was able to detect a portal more than once per day. It's like, come on.
Yeah, then they get their spells, like they get protection from good and evil at level 3, and then the planar warrior, where as a bonus action, the next time you hit a creature, On this turn with weapon attack, all damage dealt attack becomes force damage, and they take an extra 1d force damage from the attack.
That's actually pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
force damage is great.
And there's no it's not like up to your wisdom modifier. Just as a bonus action, choose one creature, and then next time you hit it.
Are Bear Totem Barbarians resistant to force damage?
Yes, everything but
Everything
psychic.
but psychic. Okay.
Yeah.
Man, that's exhausting.
Yeah. Then ethereal step, so you could cast the etherealness spell, but it ends at your current turn. So basically, that allows you to pass into the ethereal plane,
Okay.
which allows you could still see the world you're in, but it's all faded, and you could pass through objects. And so this lets you do it as for just one. And usually, like the full spell lasts a minute and has all these different things. This one basically, it allows you to do it for a turn. So you could use it to just pass through a wall,
Yeah.
pass through a door, disappear for a second, walk away without an opportunity attack, stuff like that.
That's space in combat. That's just going to be basically a more reliable blink.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Which
But
isn't-
I mean, out of combat, that's super useful though.
Yeah.
They limit it again. It's one time. Come on.
Well, that one should be.
I guess.
Because otherwise,
Short
you're gonna,
or long rest.
Why wouldn't you use it every single turn if it was not limited?
I don't know, man.
I think I don't love the fact that it's limited to a short or long rest. I feel like it should probably be you can use it as many
Wisdom
times as your
modifier.
wisdom modifier and recovers on a long rest.
Yeah.
That I like a little bit more. I feel like I don't love recharge on short rest abilities because I feel like you're more like, I should use this. I got to use this as quick as possible because if a short rest comes up, then I don't want to be sitting around going, I could have used it at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fighters' stuff, all of their stuff is like recharge on short rest. Got to use it, which isn't bad. It's just I like being able to feel like I can choose it a little more.
Yeah. And then distance strike at level 11. So we're getting pretty far into the class at this point. But
Yeah.
when you take the attack action, you could teleport up to 10 feet before each attack to an unoccupied space you can see.
That's one of the cooler actually
Yeah.
features in the game, to be honest.
Definitely.
Yeah, and if you attack at least 2 different creatures with the action, you can make one additional attack with it against a third creature, which I assume would mean a third teleport.
No, because it's when you take the attack action.
Right.
No, so you're right. It says before each attack to
Yep.
an unoccupied space. Yeah, that's not only is that really just good because you get an extra attack, you can teleport, but that's like pretty good movement at that point.
That reminds me a lot of Steel Wind Strike. You remember that?
Yeah.
That's the 5th level spell?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like the highest a ranger gets.
Yeah, fifth
Right.
level, yeah.
5th level, and you can just like teleport
Yeah,
around
you,
the
you
battle.
fade out of like view, like pretty much fade out of existence, and then you get attack. It's like up to 10 things or something like
Yeah.
that. And you
It's
pop up
ridiculous.
and hit it and pop up to the other one. And it was something like 5d10 per attack, or it was high.
I got something up. I'm going to look it up. But Steel Wind Strike is the only reason to get high level in a ranger.
It's a good spell.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very anime-esque.
Not everything has to be anime, Kevin.
I mean, no, but that
that
specifically
is,
was
yes.
the most anime spell in
Yeah.
the game.
It is. Let's see. It does 6d10 force damage, and it's up to 5 creatures.
Yeah.
And
They ought to be within 30 feet or something.
actually, it's pretty limited there. You can then teleport to an unoccupied space you can see within 5 feet of one of the targets you hit or missed. So the
Right.
other target has to be 5 feet away.
No, read it from the beginning. You're doing that thing where you skip a sentence. That's really important.
All right. You flourish the weapon used in the casting and then vanish to strike like the wind. Choose up to 5 creatures you can see within range, which is range of 30 feet.
Yeah.
Make a melee spell attack against each target. On a hit, a target takes 6d10 force damage. You can then teleport to an unoccupied space you can see within 5 feet of one of the targets you hit or missed.
Yeah,
So that's the end.
Oh,
That's the end, yeah.
That's the end.
So you could choose up to 5 targets within 30 feet of you, and then end it within 5 feet of one of the targets.
Why do I always do that?
I don't know, man. You just like skip ahead, like skip the meat of it. Like, oh, but no, it says 5 feet.
I'm trying to summarize it. I don't want to spend.
No,
like-
I
I don't
get it.
like reading through an entire.
So
I get it. It's fine.
to get such a baller spell, you have to make the horrifying decision of going all the way to level 17 in Ranger.
What?
But you can get the next 3 in Druid if you want.
I think it'd be much better to, as a bard. This is totally getting off track. If we ever do a thing with a bard who's weapon focused again, that would be a great one to use for your lore or whatever additional magical secrets.
Oh, for sure.
yeah, just like
Like
pick
a
that one up.
College of Swords bard.
Yeah.
Gets magical secrets at 10. Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, because you get 5th level spells at 9, and then 10th level for bard, you get that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Or if you go to lore bard, you get it at 6. So you couldn't pick then. But also, lore bards don't really have that great of
Yeah,
attacks.
I wouldn't do that. But,
Yeah.
any of the College of Swords,
Yeah.
that'd be great. You just...
And then just to finish defending the Horizon Walker, which you guys keep saying, oh, I don't like this one. In the classic Jared voice, yes. I don't know why we're just beating up on you today.
I don't know.
Jared, I like you. You're all right.
Well, that makes one of us. So.
Spectral Defense. So it's pretty much as a reaction, you can give yourself resistance to all attacks, to all of that attack's damage on the turn. So if you get hit by something, you could just, as a reaction, give yourself resistance to that damage type.
Rogues get that at 5th level.
Wow, and this time they didn't add that.
Rogues get something like that at 5th level.
Not 5th level.
It's pretty early on.
Are you thinking of Uncanny Dodge?
No, they get somewhere they can use a reaction to like have damage. It's not important.
If you can see them. Wow. When you take damage from an attack, does that count for area of effect? I don't think it does.
Because what? The Horizon Walkers?
Because it specifically says from an attack, but it does say damage.
Right.
So you can have any kind of damage as long as it's targeting you.
An attack implies an attack roll.
Yeah. Are you looking up the rogue thing?
I am.
Yeah, I'm curious.
We got to clarify.
Yeah, of course.
But that one is not limited at all. So, no, you're right.
7th level. 7th level, you get... Oh, wait, no, that's evasion. Uncanny Dodge is... Starting at 5th level, when an attacker that you can see hits you with an attack, you can use your reaction to have the attack's damage against you. 5th level for a rogue. So
I feel like it's phrased that way.
Yeah, I feel like because the wording's different, there's something different about it we're not picking up on.
One is an attacker you can see, whereas at 15th level, it just gives some flavor. When you take damage from an attack, the only difference is it doesn't say you can see. So you don't have to see the person. Rogues has a little bit more stipulations.
And it's resistance versus half damage.
Which is the same thing.
Right.
In a way.
Unless
Actually, it's worse because multiple instances of resistance don't stack. So with the Uncanny Dodge, you could have resistance and then have that further. But you can't give yourself 2 resistances.
All right, I stand by it. That's a crappy 15th level ability.
Is it?
It's just not that great. Again,
I don't know.
I would rather...
5 levels in Rogue. Yeah.
Right. Why not go 11 levels in Ranger and then 5 in Rogue and get everything that Rogues get? Compared to everything that Rangers get from, 12th to 16th level? Or 11th, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're not missing out on much, that's the point.
Yeah, I don't even know what to make of this one.
Yeah, that's odd.
But that's how Rangers
are. Yeah,
are.
then like the Hunter stuff really late on gets also, again, Rogue ability. Like Hunters could get evasion at like 17th level or something.
Hunters get Uncanny Dodge at 15, which is the exact thing that we just talked about. When an attacker that you can see hits you with an attack, you can use your reaction to have it. So it's, again, 15th level for a 5th level Rogue ability.
Or evasion.
Or evasion, yeah. You have to choose between them compared to taking 5 levels in Rogue, and you get, 7 levels in Rogue would get you both. But, it's just...
Who wrote this class? It's like somebody's like, all right, you're not going to read any of the material we have. Make up a ranger.
Here, just throw these abilities in. And they're like, well, that sounds really good. That should be a 15th level ability. And they're like, whoa, that's 5th level for a rogue. And they're like, oh, well, it's already printed. Sorry.
So the argument could be made if the stuff, or if they're like really front loaded and early on, they get really, really powerful stuff. And so then it's getting later. So then now they get this where it like combines well with the early stuff and that all balances, but they just don't.
No.
Every time we have a Ranger multiclass, we just end up complaining about it.
Yeah,
with new ways.
We start off kind of excited,
True.
then just realize with more and more disappointment all the things we forgot.
I still love the patented bitterness bounce.
The bitterness,
yeah.
And like we learn like a new reason to bounce out of Ranger every single time.
Yeah, it's like and if you're at 17th level of Ranger and don't want to finish that off because that'd be really dumb, just bounce 3 levels into Druid and that gets
Now
you some
can
good
turn
stuff.
into a cat or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Sorry, Rangers. All right.
Their new subclasses are okay.
They're better.
Yeah.
They do make it better, but
Yeah,
like
they're pretty
regardless,
solid.
they recognize that there was a problem just inherently with the Ranger class, and then they tried doing that UA to rework it and just completely dropped it because like we're not going to switch everything. That's too much work. We'll wait for 5.5 edition, which will probably never happen.
Yeah, 6.
And it just kind of has fallen by the wayside. One of these days they'll make a subclass that I'm like, yeah, this is just overall better than all of the other Ranger subclasses, and they'll just start a new era of us loving Rangers. No, Will's shaking his head.
Yeah, probably not.
They're not.
They
None of
really
that's
try
gonna
and
happen.
yeah. They really try and make a point that like within the class, all the subclasses are equally valid picks. I don't think they're gonna just
Only in this case, they're all equally invalid picks.
we just went through Horizon Walker, pretty decent.
Yeah, one of the things, then we got super disappointed in the capstone.
Just one skill.
Just one, yeah.
Yeah,
And then the
Monster
first
Slayer's
one.
great.
Monster Slayer's not great, man.
It's pretty great.
I like Monster Slayer.
Yeah.
It gets you. That 15th level ability you actually get at second level as a fighter. I'm just kidding.
No, that one's unique. It's basically, I think their 15th level is basically counterspell.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a baked in counterspell.
Yeah, you
Where
can, as long as you can make a weapon attack, which isn't hard because you're probably going to be ranged of some sort.
Yeah, that's actually.
Oh no, that's if it forces you to make a saving throw.
Right.
In place of that, you can make a weapon attack against it, and if the attack hits, you succeed your saving throw.
Which is perfect
Yeah.
for a vampire slaying monster slayer, which is
Exactly.
where this came from.
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, this was part of the Curse of Strahd initially.
Yes.
The UA for it.
Oh,
Yeah, magic users Nemesis is kind of the counterspell.
you're right.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, this actually wouldn't combine any way in with a druid uniquely. It's just kind of okay.
What if you're
All
a
of these
monster
things
slayer?
can be used while wild shaped. I remember checking that.
Oh no,
You
I
could, like,
actually
do this as a bear.
I just had a good idea. You're a monster slayer in animal form. I
Yeah.
don't know, man. But like, wouldn't that be cool? Like Van Helsing, only Van Helsing was a bear.
Yeah, I guess that would be pretty cool. What
Yeah.
if Van Helsing was born on a dinosaur island
Oh!
and could turn into a pterodactyl at higher levels?
That'd be incredible.
Yeah, so I think we're getting somewhere. Turns his big old beak into a wooden spike to stake through the vampire's heart.
I don't think that's a feature.
No.
I think I'm done with the Ranger Druid.
Yeah. Yeah, ultimately I'm not too happy with this one.
No, but it's not bad. I think flavor-wise it works really well. It can be
Flavor-wise,
Cool.
I think it's unnecessary. Any character concept I'm thinking of, unless wild shape is really important to it.
I like the
it's just-
idea.
You could do it by Druid or Ranger.
I like the idea of going Ranger for most of this if you really like Ranger and then taking a small dip into Druid. I like that just for the sake of being able to wild shape for those
Sure.
story moments, not at all for any type
Combat.
of combat. But some of the Druid circles at second level get you some good combat stuff, and then you get access to maybe some Druid spells that you didn't have before. Moonbeam is second level, you get that at third. It's not perfect. I'm not going to say it is, but there is a way to make it not utter garbage.
Yeah, but unlike a lot of the other ones we've done, there are ways to make it the worst thing in the world.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah,
It's true. It's filled with a lot of
You
traps.
have to be very careful. Yeah,
That's a good way to put
Yeah.
it. That really is.
I would really struggle to recommend. So, like, if I was like had a new player at a table, I was like, oh man, I think I really like the flavor of Druid Ranger. I would honestly probably try and talk them out of it.
I would
try and see like, what are you trying to do?
Right.
You might be able to just accomplish it by doing just this in Druid or just that in
Right.
Ranger, or you know.
I think we could get rid of all of this by making wild shape a feat.
I'm 100%. You
Yeah.
know what? Every character should get wild shape. I don't see why that's limited to the druid. That's how controversial I'm going to be today.
My variant human can transform into a dog. What? Why? Humans can just do that innately, man. All right, let's go ahead and move on.
To the Amnizu.
Amnizu.
All right, this week's monster is the Amnizu from Mordekainen's Tome of Foes. The Amnizu is a devil, part of the hierarchy of the nine hells. They're pretty high up there in rank. They are taskmasters of a lot of the underling devils and guards to the river Styx, which ferries souls into the nine hells. So it's a pretty crucial point for them. At challenge rating 18, these things are tough. They would be a beast to fight. With decent amount of hit points, really nasty spells, crazy high damage, the ability to summon in other devils. They can make for a very interesting and tough fight for certain parties. Decent amount of flavor where you could buff them up with a bunch of other devils and stuff like that. And
My first question is, why would a party ever fight this thing? So one of the things is going into the nine hells, most likely. So this would be like a nice, almost a gatekeeper. But there's like 20 gatekeepers of the nine hells, if I remember correctly. There's also like the Cerberus type dog that's in here
Cerberus,
somewhere.
yeah.
Is it just called Cerberus? Okay.
I'm not sure.
Doesn't matter. It's it's just a good beefy gatekeeper to start.
Here's a very complex idea. Your party needs to infiltrate one of the first castles in the Nine Hells or whatever.
Okay.
So they magically turn themselves into lemures.
Remind me again what lemures are.
They are the lowest form when you're an evil person who dies. You come back as basically, it looks like an evil Ditto from Pokemon. You're just like
Nice.
a pink blob that can't do anything. And from there, you have to work your way up the evil ladder to become whatever you want.
Okay.
I mean, hell, an Amnizu probably was a lemure at some point.
Right.
So your party's a bunch of lemures. They're actually level 16s or whatever, but they found like a scroll of turn into lemure. And this is the guy who's going to greet them and teach them the ways of the underworld.
But they retain like their personality and
Yeah.
the stats and all that. Yeah.
Right. So they actually try and infiltrate by turning themselves into
And this is
lemures.
the guy who would probably greet them.
Right.
This
so
would be the boss of the first castle, in my opinion.
yeah, that's actually kind of interesting.
Another reason you would fight them, they're not just guarding the river Styx.
Correct.
They will also lead the legions into battle. So they will actually be commanders of a battlefield.
Right.
So
Okay. Now, these things, as you said, challenge rating 18, they pack a punch. They feel like challenge rating 18. Armor class 21, 202 hit points. They've got
actually a little low for challenge rating 18.
hit points
It
wise.
fits for a spellcaster.
Yeah.
though.
Okay.
Yeah, like the Flynn you guys fought, which was what, challenge rating 9, or maybe that was 11. That had like 150 hit points. I mean,
Okay. But
Yeah.
spellcaster does definitely add to it. Also, AC of 21. I don't know what the Flint was, but
lower.
yeah. So it all works out. But its main thing is it's trying to subjugate others. So its spell casting as well as all of its attacks really just go around this entirely. Its spells are scary. It's got a 3 times a day dominate person and fireball. That's 3 times a day each, and then a dominate monster and a feeble mind once per day.
Right.
Feeble Mind is one of the most scary spells that a spellcaster can get hit with. I think it's a wisdom save to start, maybe an intelligence save. But if they fail the saving throw, they just intelligence and charisma both go to 1. They can't spellcast. They can't do anything. If your wizard gets hit with a Feeble Mind, they're out of the combat. I think a greater restoration can bring them back. And by the time you're fighting this thing, you might have somebody in the party who's got a greater restoration. There's a lot of classes that get it. But if you go into this fight unprepared, you are dead. This is definitely one of the more deadly monsters in this entire thing, because not only can it use those, and it has to hold concentration on them just like anything else, but it's got some other stuff like its Forgetfulness, which is a recharge 6 ability that just lets you stun another creature for an entire minute. So Feeble Mind the spellcaster, get Forgetfulness on at least one other party member. You got 2 people out just right out the gate.
You can make your saves against forgetfulness. That's nice. But if you
DC
fail
18
it,
intelligence saving throw, though, which is not,
if you fail it for the entire minute, you forget everything that happened in the last 5 hours, which is interesting. And I think there's no obvious way to use that.
No.
But I'm sure there's a way you could find to use it.
Yeah, I don't think that one's going to come up too much in combat, because the idea of failing a save 10 times in a row, it's just really low chances. It definitely can happen, but by then somebody's going to do something to snap you out of it. But I don't know. There has to be some way that can be used more story-wise. I didn't come across anything, but I feel like that's one of those things that if this was something you were using in especially that infiltration type thing where there might be some time that your PCs aren't fighting it, it might be really useful. Maybe they get some other Lemure friends and they start coming back with their minds wiped of the last 5 hours. That's a quick thought. But
Yeah, I can see a Lemure just utterly failing that almost every time.
Right. So that could be good. As for its actual attacks, so it gets multi-attack, and it gets a lot of stuff. It can use its Poison Mind, and then 2 attacks, one with its Whip, and one with its Disruptive Touch. So it gets a lot of options with what it's doing. Poison Mind is, again, one of its actions. The Amnizu targets 1 or 2 creatures that it can see within 60 feet of it. Each target must succeed on a DC 19 Wiz saving throw or take 4d12 necrotic and be blinded until the start of the Amnizu's next turn. And it can start off with that. So if there's your melee attacker is right in front of it, boom, blinded. Now it's going to have disadvantage on all of its attacks, and the Amnizu is going to have advantage on all of the attacks against the melee attacker. So it's Taskmaster's Whip, which is plus 11 to hit. You're not going to have too hard of a time hitting with that. Does 2d4 plus 5 slashing, and then 6d10 force damage, which not many things are going to be resistant to. Then we get Disruptive Touch, which it also gets, and it's just a plus 11 to hit and 8d10 necrotic damage, which you would also have advantage on if somebody was right in front of them. I don't want to get crit by that, and now you're giving it a really good chance to crit.
Right. Yeah, no, it really packs, especially for a spellcaster class. It's kind of both. It's spellcaster and
It's spellcasting
martial.
is something that I would more expect it to do like once, just to take somebody completely out. And then once it does that, it can focus more on doing what it is good at, which is just doling out damage. It's great at that.
Yeah. But yeah, like facing an Amnizu absolutely could be a level 20 fight because it's flavor-wise, it'd be very rare to catch this thing alone.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to be fighting with a whole bunch of other devils. So you could set up a really cool encounter, and the Amnizu is like the big guy in that encounter.
Right.
Its saves are also insane.
Yeah.
Plus 7 dexterity, plus 9 constitution, plus 7 wisdom, plus 10 charisma saving throws.
Yep. So
It's ridiculous.
Your only bet against this thing is to find some way to blind it yourself, which is going to be really tough.
How you do, because then also has magic resistance, so it has advantage on any saving throw against spells.
And Devil's Sight.
Yeah.
So even a darkness spell, it just sees right through.
Right.
And I think blindness and deafness is a constitution saving throw, which it's got plus 9 to.
Yeah,
So,
that rolls with advantage.
right.
Your best bet is to nuke this guy as quick as possible.
Right. Your best bet is to have a paladin who can succeed on their saving throws against all of its crap, cast Greater Restoration on your wizard who got completely brain effed,
Right.
and then just smite it into oblivion.
Right.
Beyond that, you should probably find something new to fight.
Another thing to remember with all devils is they are immune to fire. Like full immune to
Oh,
fire.
yeah.
Oh, and poison.
And the resistance to cold damage, and then...
non-magical.
Yeah,
that
non-magical
aren't
attacks.
silvered, which I didn't realize all devils are like that.
Yeah.
Silvered stuff counts as...
Yeah, so you could have a non-magical weapon that's silvered and wouldn't be
If you're fighting this and you don't have magical weapons, yell at your DM.
Right.
Yeah, it also cannot be charmed or poisoned.
What's interesting about it being immune to fire is that lets it cast Fireball like on itself.
Oh, yeah.
And every single one of its underlings is also
immune to fire. So you're just completely removing the one limiting factor of Fireball.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like even the Lemire, which is a challenge rating 0, is completely immune to fire and poison damage. It's just a unique devil thing.
I mean, that makes sense if you're spending a lot of time in hell.
So, yeah, obviously you should probably be resistant to hellfire.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it has Instinctive Charms, which is its reaction, where if any creature within 60 feet of it is making an attack roll on it, it could force a DC 19 Wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the attacker must target another creature that's closest to it, not including the Amnizu or itself.
Yeah. So it has ways to mess with just everybody.
Yep.
It's not like, oh, well, your spellcasters will really shine against this thing. Feeble Mind or Dominate Person, which it's got, again, 3 times per day.
Yeah. Or it's crazy saves.
Or it's crazy
high
saves
AC,
where it's just going to succeed on absolutely everything.
Yeah. And then it's going to have underlings that are going to go swarm the spellcasters into melee range and mess up their concentration. And
Your best bet is just having your wizard stand really far back. I don't know what Dominate Person's range is. It's probably pretty far. 60 feet. Have them stand really far back and just keep doing chain lightnings. Pew! Chain lightning. Chain lightning.
right.
Beyond that.
That's not wrong.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, this is something to note. This is not actually a boss character. You can tell because it's not got legendary resistances.
Right.
This is just the way hell is. This is if you read the devil chapter in the monster manual, and especially the devil chapter in this book, you start to realize that almost the entire chapter is devoted to screwing with your level 20 players.
Yep.
Yep.
When they think that they can really deal with anything, invite them to the 9 hells. See how they enjoy it.
Welcome to the 9 hells.
It would be an exhausting trip
We've
for
got
anyone.
Lakes of Fire.
Challenge rating 18 regular dudes.
We're just like underlings. I mean, sure, they manage other underlings and whip them into shape, but they're drill sergeants. Taskmasters.
Yeah.
Taskmaster.
And there's a bunch of them
Yep.
too.
Yep.
It's like there's a game called Prey. I know there's a current one, but there was an older one too, where you got abducted on a spaceship. It was just a single player first person shooter. And it's like, I guess I'm gonna spoil this, but it doesn't really matter. Like
spoil
a
a game?
huge part of the game, like there's the overseer of the observer, whatever they call him. That's who you're going after. That's who you think you need to kill to get yourself out of here. And you have this big, massive boss battle where if you finally get to him, and it's really tough, and you kill him, and then you leave the room, and then you enter another room, and there's like 100 of these things on the wall. It's like, yeah, keep fighting.
I was actually thinking about that too. That is the perfect description of this thing, where you come in and you think, wow, we finally did it. We killed this one big thing. But what I think will be interesting about that is the fact that I would like to see how players get better at fighting this a second or third time. Because I think the first time, there's just going to be so many things that pop out at them that they're like, what the hell? How do we even deal with this? But then once the wizard realizes that they need to stay 60 feet back and cast chain lightning 30 times, I'd like to see how the fight really changes around. Maybe spells that they can, buff up their intelligence saves and other types of things. I think that'd be really interesting to see. It's a good challenge to players, and it becomes, after they know how to fight against it, I won't say easy, but it does become easier. The main thing that's going to suck with this thing is all of the surprises.
Right. And then also, as the DM, you should really plan out how you're going to fight it. Fight very tactfully and strategically. It has an intelligence 20, and its entire job is commanding forces in battle.
Right.
Like, it's going to know how to use all of its resources to the best of the advantage, and it's a devil. It'll fight dirty and...
Right.
Actually, will they?
They'll
Fight dirty? I mean, because they're lawful.
Define dirty.
Yeah, what is...
Yeah.
On their turf, there's no real...
Right.
I can't see them drawing a line in the sand. It's like, oh, I would never stoop to that level.
I won't kill
Right.
somebody who's already fallen unconscious in battle. No, they're gonna
Right.
they're gonna kill it.
And they have absolute reason to kill every single thing they see, because it's kind of rolling the cosmic dice to see if they come back and join the Hell Legions.
Right.
Yeah, this thing's scary and
Yeah.
ugly.
Oh, yeah.
Super
Can
ugly.
we talk about his fly speed?
Yeah, it's got 40 feet fly
All right,
speed.
let's
but the
look at his
tiniest
wings.
little wings.
Sure, yes.
His wings are slightly bigger than his hands.
Yeah, it's
And
this
it-
big, like, blob of a humanoid.
Yeah. I like to him. That's got to be 500 pounds, if not more.
500 pounds of evil, yeah.
Yeah, 500 pounds of evil being carried by wings the size of a large raptor. The bird kind.
The bird.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was going to go like tennis racket. They're like tennis racket wings.
Yeah.
They really did do a good job for the Devil Chapter artwork, though.
Oh,
They did, yeah.
Amazing.
I can definitely picture him. You can role play as this guy. He's got 1,000 feet telekinesis, which is something I
Whoa.
don't think I've seen before. But
didn't
it
notice
fits
that.
his. It fits his kind of like taskmastery way. He can talk to everybody in his little fortress.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's a lot of cool flavor. There's a lot of cool mechanics.
Yeah. So, yeah, Amnizu.
Amnizu.
Pretty cool.
Kill your level
Really,
20
yeah.
party.
Yeah. all the devils in Mordenkainen's are. Yeah, that entire first chapter is dedicated
Devils and
Devils and
Demons.
It's really worth the read. It's really cool.
It is the best D&D lore chapter that has been released for 5e. I will stand by that one.
Yeah, I can second that.
Because I got through that. I could not put down the book when I was reading through the demons and devils. And then I got to the dwarves and Durgar, and I was like, oh, okay. I guess that's interesting. Nowhere near as cool.
Yeah.
Devils and Demons is just some of the best lore and enough to do 1,000 campaigns around.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. So good.
Did you come away from that kind of seeing where the devils are coming from?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
You know, they're really...
Okay, Kevin.
All right. Maybe these devils aren't that bad.
But no, I mean, their big thing is that they just like,
They're
oh my
keeping
God.
the demons at bay.
Right.
They're lawful evil.
It's
And then demons are chaotic evil, and like they feel like their entire thing in life is keeping these demons at bay because the demons will just ravage the entire universe.
Well, that's why it came up that like they needed to always be in that conflict, because once the devils got comfortable and they're like, sweet, demons aren't going to be a problem. So what about this material plane? And it's like, no, demons over here. Go pay attention to those.
Yeah.
So it was a really cool balance that
Yeah.
we just talked about. They always need to be in inner turmoil.
yeah, and then that's where like Mordenkainen comes in. That's like one of the big things he did was always pull the strings kind of behind the scenes to make sure no side got a big advantage.
Right. Oh, thank you, Mord.
Yeah, good old Mord.
We're on that kind of basis with him.
All right. I think that's enough. Anything else on the Amnizu?
No, read the
No.
chapter, man.
All right. We forgot to do it, but I'll go ahead and throw this in at the end. If you have not yet, feel free to follow us on Twitter. It is monsters_multi. And yeah, send us monster suggestions, any questions on your multi-classing, whatever it is. We're here to listen and talk D&D. So thanks for listening.
Thanks.
Next time on Monsters and Multiclass.
Join us next week as we discuss the Rogue and the Wizard multi-class, and then I guess we're going to move on to the Korrid from Volo's Guide to Monsters.